Okay, for chapter 2, we want to look at two main ideas. We want to talk about frequency distributions and review those, and then we want to talk about our main statistical graphs and review those really quickly. All right, so remember that you have two types of frequency distributions. You have the ones that have data that is not numerical. All right, so categorical type data. Remember that if you're doing a frequency distribution for a categorical type data set, not numbers, that you're going to have a column for class, a column for frequency, and a column for percent. All right, under the class column, you're going to list out everything that's listed in your data set. So for this example, I would be listing out each of the pizza toppings that is listed in the data set. So I'm going to just do one with you, but you would want to do them all. All right, so one of them would be pepperoni. Okay, and then again, keep in mind that you're going to do all of the pizza toppings in a list there. All right, for frequency, you're going to go through your data set and you're going to count. So I'm going to count the pepperonis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so I'm going to put a 12 in the frequency column. And then for percent, remember that percent is part over the whole. And so you're going to do 12 for the part. And the whole is the total number of values that you have in your data set, which would be 30. All right, if I count all of them, I'm counting 30. All right, so 12 divided by 30 is going to give me 0.4, which then I'm going to convert to a percent. So I've got 40%. All right, so that is a quick review on categorical. You'd want to do the same thing for all of the pizza toppings and make a chart. Okay, the other type of frequency distribution is a grouped frequency distribution where you have numbers. This one is a little bit harder to deal with. So I'm going to go through the initial steps with you. So first of all, you want to remember that you are going to have columns for class. You're going to have a column for boundaries. You're going to have a column for frequency and a column for cumulative frequency. All right, so determine the setup on your classes. You are going to first calculate your range. Remember that your range is the highest value in the data set minus the lowest. So the highest value in this particular data set is 134, and the lowest value in this data set is 100. And so to calculate my range, I'm going to subtract those two numbers. 134 minus 100 gives me 34. All right, the next step is to find the width. How big am I going to make each of the classes? So to do the width, you're going to take the range and you're going to divide by the number of classes. And they should tell you, like they did right here, how many classes to use. So they said do 7. All right, so 34 divided by 7 is going to give me 4.8. And remember, this is where we're going to round this number up. So even if that had been 4.1, it's still going to round up to the next whole number. So we would be looking at a width of 5. All right, so then what we do is we're going to take our lowest value, which is the 100. I'm going to add 5 to it, and that gives me the beginning of the second class. I'm going to add 5 again. That gives me the next class. And I'm going to keep doing that, adding 5 until I get my 7 classes. All right, then I'll go and do the other side. So I'll say to myself, if the second class starts at 105, the first class had to end at 104. And if the third class starts at 110, the second class ends at 109. And so I'm going to continue with that same train of thought all the way down until I finish writing out my classes. All right, for boundaries, remember that you are going a little bit less than the 100 and a little bit more than the 104. And so your boundaries in that first class should be the 99.5, that's going to be a little bit less than 100, and 104.5, that's a little bit more than the 104. Remember that you're going to do a little bit more and a little bit less, and they always have to end in a 0.5. So the next one, a little bit less than 105, would be 104.5. A little bit more than the 109 would be 109.5. All right, and I'm going to leave that with you. I think we can finish those up if you need to. Okay, so for frequency, remember that you're going to count. So you're going to go through the data set and you're going to count the number of values between 100 and 104. All right, so I'm going to do that real quick. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3. All right, so unless I've missed one, I'm seeing 3 values between 100 and 104. And so I'm going to put a 3 in the frequency column, also a 3 in the cumulative frequency. Remember that we always do the same number on the top row. All right, so then I move to the next class, 105 to 109. I'm going to count those. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, and so 10 values there. All right, and then I would continue that all the way down that frequency column. All right, so cumulative frequency, remember that you start with 3 values in the first class. As you move to the second class, you're adding 10, so that makes a total of 13, and you add down as you go. All right, so from there we moved on and we looked at the statistical graphs. So I want to run through those with you very quickly. On the final, you're going to have to answer questions about a graph. So we did these in class. You want to go back to your notes and review them, or at least make sure that you have them worked out beside you so that you can reference them if you need to. All right, so histogram, remember you have the boundaries across the bottom and the frequency on the side. For most of you, this was fairly easy. I'm just going to work one of these problems. So for example, if I wanted to look at this one, how many students spent 47 minutes or less on their math homework? So 47 minutes or less would be sort of like everything back this way. All right, and so I'm looking at this bar, which has a height of 5, and this bar, which has a height of 6, and this one has a height of 8. And I would add those 3 together to give me a total of 19. All right, so definitely review those questions for a histogram. All right, for a frequency polygon, remember that you have the midpoints across the bottom and the frequencies up the side, and it looks like a line graph. All right, so again, be sure that you take a few minutes and review this, or at least pull it forward in your notes. All right, what is the class width? Remember that the width can be found by looking at the difference between the midpoints on the bottom. So this is an easy one right here. The difference between 30 and 37, that width is 7. All right, this product is most popular with which age group? So I would be looking at this top point right here and saying the midpoint is 30 for that point. All right, so I know that the midpoint is 30. And I know that the width is 7, and so I need to come up with the age group. So I'm going to kind of add some numbers on this number line, keeping the 30 in the middle. So 29 and 31, that's 3 values. I'm going to add another one on both sides, 32 and 28. That's 5 numbers. Remember, I need 7 for my class width. So 33 and 27. All right, so most popular with the age group from 27 to 33. Okay, and again, I'm not going to do all of these questions with you right now, but definitely go back in your notes and take a look at them if you're not remembering this. All right, last one is the ogive. Remember, it's got the boundaries on the bottom and the cumulative frequency up the side. So cumulative frequency is your running total, which means that things have already been added up. So how many data values are in the sample? We simply look at the very top point and we say, okay, that's at 30. How many people spent $19.50 or less on entertainment? So I find that point. That point is at 7. Remember, no need to add because it's already been added up. Which class has the highest frequency? Remember that you're looking for the biggest jump from one class to the next. All right, and so you could say here 19.5 to 29.5. All right, so that does a quick review. Again, on the graphs, you will not have to draw a graph, but you are going to have to interpret and answer some questions on the graph. So be sure that you review those. Be sure that you can set up and draw a categorical frequency distribution and a grouped frequency distribution.